whilst Bo's sorting his details out, this is Schola from Schola Progenium. First ever face reveal.
It is, actually.
Yeah?
Yep.
Here we are. It's done now.
I have no idea
We've
what's
crossed the
happening with my
Rubicon.
screen.
So we're live streaming on both channels, guys. So if you want to watch it on Bo's, go for it. If you want to watch it over here, go for it.
Potentially live streaming on my channel. I have no idea what's
getting
happening.
there. He's catching up.
Maybe. Maybe.
So I guess I'll talk about my day so far whilst Bo's sorting his details out.
I'm gonna quit trying to sort stuff out.
Oh, okay. Are we just gonna do it here?
Yeah, maybe, because I have no idea what's happening. Right.
Is it just this button here?
I don't know. Anyways,
can they hear us on your channel?
I hope so.
Chat, can you hear us on
maybe
Bo's channel? We're just getting started, guys. You can skip through this bit.
Yeah, you definitely can. Right.
Start us off.
Right. Let's talk about what we're doing this weekend.
Yes.
Start us.
Yes. So we are getting revenge for the Danish invasion of the UK.
Yeah.
Maybe 1,000 years late, but
what's a millennium? It got there.
We got there in the end, right?
Yeah.
So me and JP have flown over for several games, a weekend of training against Bo and the Danish national team. And first of all, I have to say that Bo has sorted out I have no words, man. Like, the setup that you have done for us today has been beyond all expectations. We've had 3 tables out, all fully trained. We've had a mini tournament against the whole Danish team and friends. And I played 2 games today. JP's just finishing off his second game right now.
We're going into our third game in a minute.
We're going into our third game in a minute.
Might have some dinner first, though.
Yeah, I think definitely we deserve a little bit of fuel, especially after playing the Polish Lancers for the first time.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a minute, I think.
But long story short, it's training. We've come over. The guys have been really, really generous to give us their time and just generally teach us everything they possibly can. So me and JP can go from just playing a few local tournaments. We like a bit of bolt action. We like doing the content to a competitive
going to the GT.
Going to the Warlord GT.
That was the point, wasn't it?
Yeah, training for the Warlord GT on the 11th of August, I believe it is.
Yeah. So from my perspective, we basically just set up a normal training weekend for the Danish bolt action team. Right. So that's what we're doing. Hi, Spurley.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thanks for saying hi. Banzai indeed.
Yeah.
JP is currently facing the
we have a resident bamboo spear fighter who's fighting JP, and it's a very cagey game. We're not actually sure who's winning at this point.
No idea what's going on, frankly.
Yeah. So, but the idea was we set up this training weekend for you guys to come over, train, see what you can learn, and so we do we're doing feedback all through the games. We're talking tactics. We have had a few stops where we stop the game and different people have come to discuss what's going on, discuss plans and stuff.
You and Michael, the Danish champion currently, have been sort of taking it in turns on the coaching or the playing, haven't you?
Yeah.
So you've even not played all the games you could have done today,
true.
Which is really appreciated. And it's been a kind of, I'll make my decisions and then I'll say, was that the right decision? No. Sometimes. We've
tried not to interfere with the games, but still, make it a learning experience so that it's not just you make a mistake and everything's just fucked up.
JP's just walked in now. Live stream, come
join us.
Oh.
How did it go?
It was a really tight game.
Win for the Japanese or loss for the Japanese?
Loss for the Japanese.
Win. Well done, JP. A win.
JP won.
Give him a thumbs up. He beat the bamboo spear fighters. He's looking very sweaty, but he beat the bamboo spear fighters.
They were standing outside in the sun. That's why. Yeah.
3 flamethrowers killed 1 bamboo fighter.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah, that sucks. Anyway, so for me, I guess the main question that I would want to... Bye, Mark. He's
Lovely
one of
to
the
meet you,
players
Mark,
is
by the way. Lovely to
leaving
meet you.
now.
See you soon,
So,
mate.
like, one of the main questions I want to ask you here on the live stream is, what's your main takeaways right now from having played these 2 games of very competitive bold action with training aspects to it?
The number one takeaway is manoeuvring and positioning is
Yeah.
the number one priority when I'm playing competitively. I think,
Yeah.
like, when I've just. So in the first game, and I don't want to give any spoilers because we're going to post it, but in the first game I was playing against Gurkhas,
Yeah.
and just manoeuvring and positioning the whole way was just absolutely vital.
Yeah.
And then I've just played my first game against the Poles, and it was Polish Lancers, 5 squads of cavalry, something like
4.
Five.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, hey there, Deathcourt. Come on, grab a chair. Get him. I mean, you don't have to come on the camera if you don't want to.
For the cavalry, there was like 10 more veterans, 6 veteran cavalries, 10 regulars, and 6 more regulars. So that was basically the cavalry.
A lot of cavalry, and they were playing key positions. So, yeah.
And I went into the game with my positioning thinking, right, okay, I'm going to sort of play it cage, I'm going to stick to the terrain so we can only charge 9 inches into the terrain. That was actually a rule I learnt, oh my gosh, coming into playing Polish cavalries. I thought they couldn't charge into dense cover.
Yeah.
Turns out they can, but just 9 inches. So
Can't charge into houses, that's the only thing.
which makes sense, I suppose, but very bad manners to bring your horse inside as a general rule. Now,
Don't do that.
Yeah, very, very not good. So don't. And so, essentially, I sort of wanted to play it cagey, and the positioning again was massive. I don't think anyone lost a dice till turn 4.
It was I was pulling dice for the guys, and it was turn 4 that the dice suddenly, like kill dice, shot up explosively, and nobody had really. I think you've lost like a couple of minis. That was all.
And everything up to that point was positioning, getting yourself set up for that win.
Yeah.
So and also just slight little tips. A couple of millimeters can make a difference in terms of transport positioning and getting where you want to be next turn.
Yeah.
So you're kind of always thinking 3 turns in advance.
And it wasn't even like Spurley just asked, was it a multi-launcher that hit us? And no, it really wasn't. It was turn 4, everyone had set up, and they would, at that point, they started killing each other, going for the objectives, which were most of them in the middle of the board, right?
And I was going ambush, and then he was going ambush so he could withdraw. And it came down to sort of all the dice have been played. Yeah. And it's right, we'll roll off to see who ambushes and who shoots first, who recce's first. So it was the hardest game of bolt action I've ever played. My brain was going a million miles an hour, just trying to keep up with everything on the board. It was 30 dice between the two of us, and running 30 dice over 4 turns is.
It's hard.
It's hard for me. You're all right, and we're getting laughed at over here because we have Benny takes 27 dice
in his own list.
I'm all right for that.
Yeah. So the funny thing here is you're not mentioning your list. You're not mentioning the terrain. You're not even mentioning the mission. It's all like, maneuvering is the thing that you mostly like.
Yeah, I honestly, that's the most I've learnt from it. Yeah. And I think with my Finns, I sort of know when to hold them, know when to fold them, in terms of I know when to ambush or when to advance and actually pull the trigger and shoot. Yeah. So that, I don't think I needed to sort of pick stuff up. The Finns are, my favourite faction. Yeah. But there was a couple of rules that somehow, again, just have flown under the radar. And, so I think positioning very much so. I think
for me one of the things that again is underlined by this weekend is how differently people will play like common rules, especially terrain. Like we're not going to talk much about version 3, but one of the things that I really, really want for version 3 is that the terrain rules get a lot clearer so that everyone will play them the same way. Because like little things does change how you perceive something, right?
And even on a sort of a linguistic standpoint, respect to these boys, they've been playing all day on a second language, of course, whereas we get the first. So I think And part of it was communication. If you're going to something I learned in terms of etiquette from an international tournament, if you're playing opponents from other countries and so on and so forth, is just be very clear with your intentions.
And it's not actually, it's not even just other countries. It's like even guys you don't play normally, like from your own club. You would still need to be very clear with your intentions, which is a good point.
That's not to say that's not your command of the English language. It's how we sort of are used to playing things. Because you're playing in Denmark, you do things one way. The metas don't meld that much. So our meta, we always do it this way. Your meta, you always do it that way. So just being aware, talking it out in advance. There was a talking through the terrain beforehand, and I mean every piece of
because it will matter at some point. Yeah,
because me and Mike, we were like, we talked through the terrain. Of course we did. But there was one little bit of terrain in the center of the board, turn 6.
Is that soft cover or not?
Is it soft cover? Like we never discussed that one piece, so we had to dice off on it. And then because we both sort of, as we said, done this massive setup, really like playing tactically, very like chess-like, if that makes sense, then relying on a dice roll and one of your plans going through and the other one of your plans being denied, that means, like all your hard work for turns could be thrown away on the fact that you just didn't agree a rule beforehand. And no criticism to Warlord, but it's, as you said, for 3rd edition, we really need some clarification on some. But Alessa Cavator, the man, the myth, the legend himself, has written the rules, and he said he wants the 3rd edition, his headline sort of goal when writing it was that players are never having to think about the rules. They just want the play to flow. Yeah. And so, that was, it was a challenge, an interesting challenge that was unexpected in just sort of communicate.
So before we went live, I had a few questions come in from some people. So and we're going to talk about them.
Go for
it. Having played these 2 games, what do you think actually makes a good player?
A very good sense of humor would be number 1. Okay.
To be a good sport.
Be a good sport. Yeah. Especially when you want to get better. Yeah. I've flown over here knowing I'm going to get my butt kicked. Yeah. Just got to laugh it off. You're behind. Someone gets a lucky 6. You're like, you're already winning. Did you really need to get a lucky 6? But
it will happen.
But it happens, and you got to appreciate that. You're both there to have a good time. So a good sense of humor, don't take yourself too seriously, would be a really key point, because you're not going to learn. If you're salty, you are not going to learn, and you are not going to progress. You just got to take it on the chin. Okay, great. Now I know. Yeah. Brilliant. Now when I go to the tournament, it's in the bag.
Michael Christensen is not here.
Who is Michael Christensen? Sorry, Michael.
He's one for the Danish team. He lives in a different part of Denmark. He couldn't be here today.
Couldn't make it down.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michael Christensen, for not knowing your, reputation.
Famous for when he goes off, he really goes off.
I see. Okay, cool. Good to know.
Right.
So I'd say good sense of humour. Sorry, if I can, I'll
makes
do 3 points.
Perfect sense for me, because it means that you progress, right?
Jugger Spurley has just said, "When I drink, you all drink." So
we're all drinking, don't you worry.
We're all drinking. We're like more than 4 drinks in, everyone here. So, next question would be, what do we think is a good tournament player then? So like that was a good player. That's someone who can take a game, even a loss.
That's how you become a good player. What makes a good tournament player? You've got to be quick on your decisions. Yeah. You've got to commit, and you've got to be planning. Forward planning at least a turn ahead. Mud in glory till I die, baby. But I'm not obviously Schola Progenium till I die. I'm Bo Mortensen till I die. But yeah, so being aggressive when the time comes and being really aware of who you're playing. Yeah. So sometimes every army can have multiple play styles based on the situation. You've got to be reading that situation. You've got to be looking out for what your opponent's doing. You can't just be focused on your game. Yeah. You've got to look at the tricks they're setting up, not the situation on the board as it is now. They're planning a turn ahead as well. Yeah. So it's about backup plans.
Yeah.
I would say
Plans within plans.
plans
and,
within plans.
and changing all the time. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. So it's just that fluidity. It's being able to respond, just situational awareness and time awareness as well. If you need to go to turn 6 and you're the one going umming and ahhing, then you're not going to get to turn 6. So, and obviously, you should never slow play. That's the worst possible. You know, you should be, you should auto lose for that if you're intentionally slow playing. But what I mean is, if you need it to get to another turn, don't be going, oh, what should I do about this one dice? You just get it
something
done.
decisive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So being decisive and it's been a long day. So I think that I can't think of any others. What would you say makes a good tournament player?
Actually, I think that there's a lot in the physicality of the tournament play. The days get long.
Good morning, Blaine.
The days get really long, and we've only had like 2 games here today so far. We're going to go and have a third after dinner, but the days get long. So being in a shape where you're mentally and physically in a good place, I think is actually kind of important.
And for a new player, you can actually, this might just be me, but you can be quite nervous, maybe rushing, making sure you've got all your dice, all your stuff. Don't want to leave the dude behind that you painted last night on the painting desk. And you might not eat your breakfast or something like that, but it seems really simple as a bit of advice, but...
Hydrate and eat.
Hydrate and eat is going to be a big part of it because you're using your brain.
Yeah. Right. Final question I have for you, then you can ask me a couple of questions if you have them. Is, right, there, at least on my channel, there's been a debate on what actually wins games. Is it luck? Like, there's an element of luck, right?
Certainly.
We're rolling dice, right?
We're rolling dice. You can't deny it.
That lucky 6 that will kill your 1 unit, right?
At the right time as well.
At the right time.
If you're getting 6s on your inexperience and you didn't really care.
Yeah.
That's not ideal. Go on.
So is it luck? Is it the nation, the list? Is it the terrain? Is it the mission, your plan? Or is it the list? Or what? Or is it the player skill? What do you think wins the games here?
It's experience. Because I know when playing, I'm sort of mid-tier, one would say. If I go to a little local tourney, I'll smash new players, but I'll get smashed by someone like Bo absolutely with his eyes closed. So it's about the experience of knowing kind of what they're going to pull off against you, or seeing like not a set play, but if you wanted to use like an American football term, but that kind of idea, familiarity. I think you can't be good at rolling dice, so that's irrelevant. You get the dice you get, so that's no point. I think factions, it's undeniable, and I think this is much more important than Bo, which is that the Brits are the best, and they're significantly good, significantly better than other factions. And, a mediocre British player won't beat an excellent by any means. You need a good player behind the Brits. But if you've got Bo with his Brits versus Michael with not your Brits, for example, then the Brits are going to have an advantage when the player level, when all else is even. Yeah. So I think it's undeniable that faction is a massive part of it. And I think for 3rd edition, we've all had a bit of beer and discussed. Yeah. We want to see more than 4 nations being viable and competitive.
Ideally, that would be great if we could have more. All the minor nations be viable and playable.
Norwegians, Greeks, blooming, anything you like. They should all have...
Germans.
Of course. Well, they're a lost cause, man.
Give the Italians case blue rules as standard.
Italians case blue as standard, I think, is a very good suggestion.
Yeah, it is. And make Germany great again somehow.
And Tiki the Huts just said no plan survives contact with the ability.
With the enemy. Yeah. So the ability to change your plan, have a plan, but change it according to the changing circumstances.
So I'd say if I were to put those 3 factors in order, I'd say that it goes player skill, then faction, and everything else after that. Okay. That's my opinion. What do you think?
I think it's skill first. I think the stats so far have shown us this, and then I would say planning, but that's maybe because I'm totally biased. I really like planning.
I wrote my list when I got
it. And then nation. I think that there is, but I think it's like less than 15%. It will change how well you perform, but it's still an issue. And dice will always be a factor, right?
I would say knowledge.
Knowledge, yeah,
Knowledge of your
knowledge.
opponent's list is huge.
JD
because
does.
If you don't know what the opponent's bringing or like
Yeah.
what their rules,
Yeah. So know the enemies, yeah, and know what they're doing, especially like that's actually a pretty good point. I normally count that in player's skill, that just the knowledge of if you're facing an army, what will that army try to do? Yeah.
Even sort of your friends today have been caught out on occasion by the Finns, and I'm not doing anything special there.
He's
but
just
it's
playing
I'm
Finns
just
and-
playing Finns, right? But if you've only played 2 games against the Finns, you
Things
might
will
make
happen.
a mistake. Yeah, you make mistakes, like
Yeah.
and not game losing mistakes. Let me tell you, but it's a little mistake. Give me a chance mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my questions for you.
Right. Okay. Well, I've got a couple of questions for you also. So, do you think there is a viability to sort of, well, how important do you think it is learning before you go to a tournament? Do you think you should just, right, I've got my army painted, I'm just going to buy my ticket, get to the tournament, lose 3 games? Or do you think really the best thing to do is have a run-up of 3 or 4 months? Or does it just get stuck in?
Well, the best thing to do is definitely have a run-up, hands down. But I will always recommend that you just go to that tournament. Don't like hold yourself back from going to the tournament. Yeah, you might lose 3 games, but you'll definitely learn. You'll as long as you use the tournament as what it is, you're going there to learn, not to, win anything. Don't, for your first tournament, don't set expectations for yourself. Just go there in order to learn.
And say, I'd like to win my last game. Or
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
And if I don't, well, okay.
I would say if you're the best player in your group,
Yeah.
go and challenge yourself. There's no point
Yeah.
playing the same people all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Good
man.
point, JD. I don't know if you heard that, but sorry, I continually do that.
Poor
JP,
JD though.
right? If you're the best player in your little group, go to challenge yourself, meet new people, try new things.
Someone just made a comment. They went to their first tournament, lost 0-3, went back to the same tournament and won it. Well in.
That's it.
So yeah. Sorry to interrupt you there, man. That just was a great comment. So I think,
was.
yeah, JP's absolutely right there. And then, so you think definitely training, but if you're the best one, if you're winning every game, you
Train, yeah, always. But you can always use tournaments as your training ground. I mean, it's perfect training ground, and especially like ask your opponent, what do you think? Could I have done something differently? You'll learn stuff, and most people will definitely learn. We will gladly talk to you.
And
You
also,
learn more in 6 hours here
Yeah.
playing games.
then we have in 6 months of filming
Playing,
battle
yeah.
reports.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And I think also it's about like the community, right? A lot of the bolt action community thrives in the competitive scene, and it's not that competitive.
No.
We were having this chat
It's
last
an
night.
extremely
weren't we?
friendly,
It's an
actually.
extremely friendly environment. It's just where you're going to meet more bolt action players.
Yeah.
And you might go to a tournament. No, there's only out of 12 players. If it's a little one, there might be 2 people who know what they're doing.
Maybe.
Yeah, you just don't know until you get there. There's going to be people who are like, yeah, I've got this super themed, army, all of that.
Yep.
And then my second question for you is, what would be, having watched us coach, have you seen, what would be your number 1 or number 2, I'm not going to limit your tips for people who sort of just in general gameplay, like things you've got to be aware of to win games? You've made 1,000 videos, you put out loads of content, but if I had to limit you to just a couple.
Read and understand how you win the mission and play the mission. I can't stress that enough. It's the most important bit. That's the first thing. Second thing is understand what other people are trying to do with their list and their nation. How they're going to try and do the same thing. Like, how are they going to try and win this mission? Are they going to do like Michael's Polish Lancers, run up to the objectives, turn 4 or 5, and just try and push you off then, or do like? And because when you've got those two, when you know how you want to play the mission and win the mission, and you know how the enemy wants to play and win the mission, then you can make plans. Then you can really like start to understand what it is you need to do in order to win this game.
That's absolutely
So that like always focus how do I win this mission? How do not like a lot of people, especially when they start out trying to take order dice off their opponents.
Kill.
Kill. They're overly aggressive. That doesn't always work.
And I think if you come from GW games, which I think a lot of us do, let's face the reality, a lot of games score every turn. But currently, don't know for 3rd edition, but currently,
it
only matters on the last turn a lot of the time, unless you're
A lot
playing
of the
kill
time.
points. So
Or there are certain missions. There's one called timely objectives, where you score every turn. Very different. It plays
GW?
What is GW? Nobody knows. It's the thing that we don't speak about.
I've got a question for you, Bo.
Yeah.
If you were fresh starting the game,
Yeah.
which faction would you choose?
If I was fresh starting the game, which faction would I choose? One with cavalry.
Always cavalry.
Always
think
cavalry.
I might agree with that. After
Potentially
the last game I
even the
just played.
French, because the French have access to cavalry. They have a huge selection of other stuff. If I was fresh starting that, but that's because I enjoy painting horses.
I also think if you
And I
learn
enjoy assaults.
the cavalry, it's a totally different ball game.
It really
it's
is,
like
yeah.
playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
It's next level.
it's next
It is
level.
the next
It's
level.
yeah.
Right.
Any more questions about the weekend?
I don't have any. So that was it for me.
So shall we have a little chat with the boys about 3rd edition? What do you guys want to see in 3rd edition? And then I think we should all say one thing we want to see in 3rd edition, right?
Yeah.
I personally, this is a very obscure one, but I want smoke to be viable. I want it to be a thing. Right?
Agree.
That's a good one, though. That's a good one.
It's just like non-existent in 2nd edition as a
Yeah, it is.
an option. I think it'd be great.
I'll also throw something out there, which is like I recently released a video on this topic. So, all of my opinions are out there right now. You can go and watch them. But I think we should adopt one thing from Infinity the game, which is you can have units that are hidden, really hidden. So you place your unit on the table, you take your phone and take a picture of it, and then you remove the unit.
That's with modern technology. Why?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not?
Genius.
Gene Stealers in
Yeah.
40k where you place 4 markers and
I
one
might-
is the real squad.
You could do
Exactly.
it that way.
There's a billion ways you could do it, but that would actually mean something, and it would mean that some units could suddenly be very, very viable. Anti-tank guns
they're
might be
so-
viable like that. Yeah.
It's so cool, and we played a bit of Actung Panzer, and with the cards where you go,
Yeah.
haha,
Yep.
I had a. Obviously, there's no infantry, but I had an infantry squad in there, and they're shooting you in the side.
Yep.
That's really cool.
So JD, come on.
JP.
JP. John Paul. Right.
Right. Quick chat.
So John Paul, what do you want to see for version 3?
I want to see medium machine gun teams viable. I want to
Right.
see trucks with machine gun teams more expensive than the machine gun team.
Yeah.
And I want to see LMGs priced properly. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Right.
Viable.
Viable. That makes sense.
Yeah. I
Right.
mean, you've got a lot of units there, a lot of firepower that you want to put in that squads historically, like let's go for the historical event here, that they had in the armies, but they're never seen on the table, never used. And it's such a shame because everybody gets one in the starter pack. They should be on the board. Give them suppressive fire, give them extra shot, give them something to make them viable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
Right.
my pick.
Right. Let's bring on Michael, I think.
Mike, jump in.
I'm jumping in. Yeah, what do I want? Firstly, I would want more units to be viable by better national rules, the ability to tailor the list, like Bo said in his video. Yeah, that's basically it. It has to be more even, Steven. Maybe I don't care so much about the historical aspect, but being able to play Danish would be nice. So, I don't know.
It's the haves and the have-nots at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It really is. Yeah.
Scrap Unleashed, change the shoe, it's all good.
Benny,
Yes, sir.
what would you want to see, Benny?
Michael forgot to mention it. He is a very big opponent against the soccer vehicle cannot be drove over by tanks. Yeah, so that's a funny thing in the game that a motorcycle can be wrecked before in front of a Panther 2
and just block it.
Yeah.
Which is so strange.
And one thing I don't want to see in the new version 3 is pre-measurement. Pre-measurement is for 40k, for fantasy. It's not in this game. It's
Not in
for
ball
adults.
action, okay.
Especially with preset charges.
Yeah.
Please don't give us random
Don't do that.
charge.
No.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
building rules have to be approved, be better.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
it. Yeah. Cheers.
That's it from now.
Right, yes.
Airplanes viable.
Make airplanes viable.
Aeroplane.
There's so much we all
I'll tell you
want.
what, JP,
yeah.
just before we wrap it up, just hop on the chat on your phone, will you, so we can just answer if anyone's put, because I can't see it whilst I'm running on this phone.
Yeah.
Just like to give you guys a little shout out, obviously, if you've, well, I want to see what you guys said, if anyone said anything. We'll
see.
find out in a second.
But yeah,
Right.
how would you make planes viable?
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one though. For me, I think I would make him into a vehicle, like a flying vehicle. So like give them the same rules. Yeah, yeah.
And your flat guns can constantly be shooting at them and stuff,
Yeah.
which would be
Yeah.
really cool. Maybe come on, come off, one turn on, one turn
Yeah.
off.
The experimental rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've read them, but never.
Stronger water hazard river rules to make amphibious vehicles a unique choice and viable.
Yeah. Amphibious vehicles. Yeah.
Love
Because
that, yeah.
That's from Tiki the Hut.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I agree, Tiki, especially with, it'd be so interesting on the Pacific front and, I mean,
Yep.
every front, right? But
Yep.
river crossings could be glorious,
could.
written right, couldn't
Yeah.
they? And you can make rivers, like, actually wide, like a...
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You could have
yeah.
12 inches on each side and 24 in the middle of the river. That'd
Yeah.
be cool.
Yeah.
And it would be so nice if, what is it called? The Germans who attacks out of the vehicles historically. Why
Oh,
can
yeah.
we not do that?
Why can Pentagon is not
I
charged
know
out
there's a lot of
vehicles?
people saying no, please don't do that. But at
but
least
who-
for some units, I think like charging
the
out of a
Germans a
Hanomag.
chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And maybe you have to buy... Maybe you make a specific unit and you have to buy that.
Maybe,
Then
yeah.
we know they're going to keep the factions
And
as
price
they
it
are
right.
for now,
Yeah.
but
In points.
it'd be cool as the new books come out and stuff. Anything else on there?
No.
that's all.
Sound?
That is it then.
Right. Well, thank you very much if you've joined us live. Hope you enjoyed it. If you catch up, hope you found the video interesting and entertaining. Thank you, Bo, and your wonderful wife for hosting
Getting on
us.
that as well, Bo.
Yeah, bump. Three-way fist bump. So,
Three-way fist bump. Right.
it's like to be able to take
That's
Captain
it?
Major as well. Final thing, yeah.
No, the
Senior,
Major,
senior.
yeah.
Final point from
Yeah.
the Major. Ironically,
Right.
the Major wants his glory. So
Right.
we'll call it. I hope you found it interesting and entertaining, guys. Goodbye.
See you in the recorded games.
Yes, indeed.
Cheers.